Ali, 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 yeah. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7.
Islamism without the schism. Want to rise upon the 7 within the circle of justice, mercy, love, and right, and give all praises to the great God, Allah, Father God, Allah, and honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, Al-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere, and therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. But let us call forth our beloved Consul General of the territory of Texas, Dr. Marvin Nathaniel Edwards Bey, that he may open up our hearts and minds as he opens up the way. Islamism without the schism.
Family, praise Allah and honor to his prophet, our prophet Noble Drew Ali, and honor to everything that is Moorish. That's everything that the prophet brought to save us as a nation of people. And I will now open our meeting according to law. Ya Allah amnuhedu meku neteru. Ya Allah heheru. Ya Allah ma'adheru. Ya Allah hoteperu. Ya Allah heru. Ya Allah ma'adherkuti. Ya Allah awajet de duty. Ya Allah patem sutek patem heru. Ya Allah bamaduti. El Hejjah up to Ali. Amen. Holiest, holiest, holiest. In transliteration, O Allah, the Father of the universe, O Allah, the Father of love, O Allah, the Spirit of truth, O Allah, the Spirit of peace, O Allah, the Spirit of freedom, O Allah, the Spirit of justice, O Allah, you are my protector, O Allah, you are my guide, O Allah, you are my salvation by night and by day, O Allah, through your holy prophet, O Allah, Drew Ali. Amen. Holy Issa, Holy Issa, Holy Issa. And now I will come forth with our divine constitution of Moorish America. Salvation, our God, unity. The divine constitution of Moorish America. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the chairman of Moorish America are in power to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the prophet and the grand body of Moorish America. The assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the citizens of Moorish America. The bylaws. Act 2. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice Friday is our holy day of rest, because on a Friday, the first man was formed in flesh. And on a Friday, the first man departed out of flesh and ascended into his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish America, you are a part and parcel of the government and must live life accordingly. Act 5. No organization of Moorish America is to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are not, that they may know that they are a part and a parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All citizens must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a parcel of all uplifting acts of Moorish America. Moorish Americans must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of Moorish America. And then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must pay their dues and keep in mind, all Moorish Americans must pay their dues. Said that already. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his Father God Allah. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, peace and blessings be upon him, founding father and framer of the divine constitution and bylaws of Moorish America. Now that this meeting has been opened according to Act 2, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Now we'll now hand this meeting over to our National Grand Secretary of the State, Dr. Hatshepsut Tutankhamun Bey.
Islam, gratitude, Islam, Moorish kin, family. First of all, I'm going to rise, giving all praises to our Father God Allah, giving honor to our Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, the last prophet in these days and times, giving honor to our ears class, our Egyptian Adeptus Research Sultanate class, to all of our scribes online, to Act 1, and also to our host instructor, Dr. Shedo Amenti El Mohed Shepsuel, our National Assistant Grand Sheikh, giving honor to our Consul General that opened our meeting according to law. I'll be reading Chapter 1, The Creation and Fall of Man. Time never was when man was not. If life of man at any time began, a time would come when it would end. The thoughts of Allah cannot be circumscribed. No finite mind can comprehend things infinite. All finite things are subject unto change. All finite things will cease to be because there was a time when they were not. The bodies and the souls of men are finite things, and they will change. Yea, from the finite point of view, the time will come when they will be no more. But man himself is not the body nor the soul. He is a spirit and a part of Allah. Creative fate gave to man, to spirit man, a soul that he might function on the plane of soul, gave him a body of flesh that he might function on the plane of things made manifest. Why did creative fate give to spirit man a soul that he might function on the plane of soul? Why did creative fate give to soul a body of flesh that he might function on the plane of things that are made manifest? Hear now, ye cherubim, ye seraphim, ye angels, and ye men. Hear now, O protoplast and earth and plant and beast. Hear now, ye creeping things of earth, ye fish that swim, ye birds that fly. Hear now, ye winds that blow, ye thunders, and ye lightnings of the sky. Hear now, ye spirits of the fire, of water, earth, and air. Hear now, O everything that is, or was, or evermore will be. For wisdom speaks from out the highest plane of spirit life. Man is a thought of Allah. All thoughts of Allah are infinite. They are not measured up by time, for the things that are concerned with time begin and end. The thoughts of Allah are the everlasting of the past unto the never-ending days to come, and so is man, the spirit man. But man, like every other thought of Allah, was but a seed that held within itself the potencies of Allah. Just as the seed of any plant of earth holds deep within itself the attributes of every part of that especial plant, so spirit man, as seed of Allah, held deep within himself the attributes of every part of Allah. Now seeds are perfect, yea, as perfect as the source from which they come, but they are not unfolded into life made manifest. The child is as perfect as the mother is. So man, the seed, must be deeply planted in a soil that he might grow, unfold, as does the bud unfold to show the flower. The human seed that came forth from the heart of Allah was full ordained to be the Lord of the plane of soul and of the plane of things made manifest. So Allah, the husbandman of everything that is, threw forth this human seed into the soil of soul. It grew apace, and man became a living soul, and he became the Lord of all the kingdom of the soul. Hark now, let every creature hear. The plane of the soul is but the ether of the spirit plane vibrating not so fast. And in the slower rhythm of this plane, the essence of life are manifest, the perfumes and the odors, the true sensations, and the all of love manifest. And these soul attributes became a body beautiful. A multitude of lessons man must learn upon the plane of soul, and here he tarries many ages until his lessons are all learned. Upon the boundary of the plane of soul, the ether began to vibrate slower still, and then the essences took on a final garb. The perfumes and odors and the true sensations and the all of love were clothed in flesh, and man was clothed in flesh. Perfected man must pass through all the ways of life, and so a carnal was full manifest, a nature that sprang forth from fleshy things. Without a foe, a soldier never knows his strength, and thought must be developed by the exercise of strength. And so this carnal nature soon became a foe that man must fight, that he might be the strength of Allah made manifest. Let every living thing stand still and hear. Man is the Lord of all, the plane of manifest, of protoplast, of mineral, of plant, of beast, but he gave up his birthrights just to gratify his lower self. But man will regain his lost estate, his heritage, but he must do it in a conflict that cannot be told in words. Yea, he must suffer trials and temptations manifold. But let him know that cherubim and seraphim that rule the stations of the sun, and spirit of the mighty Allah who rule the solar stars, are his protectors and his guide, and they will lead to victory. Man will be fully saved, redeemed, perfected by the things he suffers on the plane of flesh and on the plane of soul. When man has conquered carnal things, his garb of flesh will then have served its purpose well, and it will fall, will be no more. Then he will stand untrammeled on the plane of soul, where he must complete his victories. Unnumbered foes will stand before man upon the plane of soul. These he must overcome, yea, overcome them every one. Thus hope will ever be his beacon light. There is no failure for the human soul, for Allah is leading on and victory is sure. Man cannot die. The spirit man is one with Allah, and while Allah lives, man cannot die. When man has conquered every foe upon the plane of soul, the seed will have full opened out, will have unfolded in the holy breath. The garb of soul will then have served its purpose well, and man will need it nevermore, and it will pass and be no more. And man will then attain unto the blessedness of perfectness and at one with Allah. Islam. So at this time, we want to turn the meeting back into the hands of our National Assistant Grand Sheikh, Dr. Shadow Amenti Al Muhajjid Shabsuel. Islam.
Islamism. Can you hear me, Grand National Secretary of the State?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Gratitude. Islamism without the schism. But let us rise upon the seven, again within the circle of justice, mercy, love, and right, and give all praises to the great God Allah, our Father God Allah, and honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, El-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again here, there, and everywhere, and therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal. We give honors to our Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution and bylaws, and honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything. And I do mean everything that our Holy Prophet brought to make us a nation. I want to welcome you to another Egyptian Adeptus Research Sultanate session. And I'm your host instructor, Dr. Shahid Imani Mohadi Shabazz El. And my ancient Comedian high name being the same as Dr. Shadow Minti El Muhajjid Shebsuel. I want to welcome you to another ears session. And we have a grand drawing to bring forth. We will be continuing our session as it relates to the ancient Egyptian, Demotic Egyptian script, truly known as the second Inshak. And this is MATHENO'S lesson 3D. We will be going into actually a drawing that relates to, we can say, the Rosetta Stone. And we're going to go all the way into the document, bit by bit, so to speak. And we want to move forward as we demonstrate it. But this is for those who will be viewing and have no knowledge, of this measure. And we're going to be in these papyri quite often, so to speak. We'll also be utilizing our chart, just to vet certain words and so that our people can become familiar with the second Inshak, and hopefully we will begin to utilize, these different languages of the ancestor, to even spark up communication, But before we move forward, we always like to lay a foundation that is based upon the exhuming of a nation. And so in laying that foundation, we have chapters, and we extract the wisdom from the chapters so that they may give us some ground, so to speak, so that we understand exactly what our position is. So at this time, what we're going to do, we're going to call on our scribes to volunteer to read from the Book of Fire. And we actually going to start on page 189, when the Moabites were themselves. Islam.
Islam.
Okay, Islam, Grand National Secretary of the State. So you can pick up from 189, and we will have you go over to page 192 above, who are the cities of India. Islam.
Islam.
Okay, and our next scribe.
Islam.
Islam, Dr. Marvin Edwards Bey. You can come from We Are the Cities of India on page 192, and then go over to, let's see here. Want to make sure I get you on a good stopping point. Yeah, you can go over to the page where it states above when the Moors were sinners, Islam,
Islam.
and that's page 195. And then our brother Bati Bey,
Islam. My mic muted
next.
the whole
Oh, all is well, brother. Islamism. Um, you can come from when the Moors were sinners and just take us above, learn law, and no law governs all events. You can go above that. Islam,
Islam.
yeah, and that's page 196. 196. Islam. All right. Okay, you got your page, beloved brother.
Islam.
Okay, Islam. Yes, sir. So all right. So we will call forth our Grand National Secretary of the State, Islam, as we pull up the book. Islam, Grand National.
Islam, gratitude, having already risen and given praise and honor where due, when the Moabites were themselves. A brief Moorish history. True history will reflect errors when Africans were the first to inhabit the earthland. For this reason, to this very day, his birthplace is called the Holy Lands, because it's where the God Self was first formed in human flesh. Outside the then Eden, the rest of the earthland he called Asia. Who were Adam and Eve? They are the mothers and fathers of the human family, Asiatics and Muslims. Question, where did they go? Answer, they went into Asia. Question, what is the modern name given to their children? Answer, Asiatics. These events occurred before the cataclysm, which Drew Ali called the Great Earthquake, which created the Great Atlantic Ocean. Moorish Holy Quran 47:7. The continent of what is now called Africa was the centrifugal birthplace and the divine origin of the Asiatic nations. Moorish Holy Quran chapter 25. Allah originated all Asiatic nations. The pale-skinned man, though sprung on Moors through ancient Moorish scientists, was later cloned by these African gods after themselves. However, they, the man-made man, could not be originated with a heart, the spirit heart, and possessed an inanimate center. Hence, the earthbound character and chemical makeup of the hueless ones came to be a destructive and warlike nature, which was inharmonious, diseased, and reproach to the sun and omnipotencies of life. Yet they, too, were shadows of deities made with flesh. Because of their detachment from the truth, parentheses God, the pale-skinned people and those who accepted their teachings were cast out of the Holy Land and imprisoned into the cloud-covered mountains and lands of Eurasia, where they remained until the advent of Moses. Still, to this day, the nations of Europe will rather make a false claim of an ancestral origin of the monkeys of Africa before acknowledgement by their Moorish creators. See Adam and Eve / Freemasonry. People with short memories or those suffering from quote unquote selective amnesia do not understand the reason why the Holy Lands today are European orchestrated war lands is because it is their final effort to bury the history and gods that created them. Regardless to that prehistory story of the Europeans, the families, tribes, and nations of Asiatics began from the holy birthlands to form themselves kingdoms around the globe. Other Asiatics from these lands inhabited India, Persia, China, Japan, Australia, Arabia, Iraq, North, Central, and South America, and all islands of the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. All of these were melanin-drenched brethren of the Sunni man, Moorish Holy Quran, chapter 47. These holy lands of sun-kissed peoples of olive hues extended from the upper Nile northward through the valleys of Kemet, parentheses, Egypt, lands through the today's Mecca, Jerusalem, and Moab of Canaan. It was these ancient Moabites who were the founders of the holy city of Mecca, Moorish Holy Quran 45:2. Then came the name Sunni, which means original or first. Also, the Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit northwest Africa. They were the founders and the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire. It was the Moorish, a seafaring people, which had circumscribed the continent of Africa over 10,000 years ago. In fact, during the reign of Necho II, the gods of the Nile had circumnavigated the entire continent and drew maps so accurate until it looks like an aerial view of today. This is when the name Amexium, the first true and divine name of the continent, got its rise. They named every continent, sea, mountain, and waterway. It must be remembered, above all else, the entire earthland was given to the torchbearers of civilization. The ancient Moabites are homeowners of this planet mud. Question: what is the covenant of the great God Allah? Answer: honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the earthland which the Lord thy God Allah hath given thee. The Moorish are not renters, squatters, gypsies, or nomads. They hold the title to their vast estate within each heart. The renters on earth are those who believe their life begins and ends in earth. They exist discordant to the harmonies of life, which breed justice, mercy, love, and right. Questions 69, 70, and 73. This is why it took a holy prophet to remind the Moorish the key of civilization was and is in the hands of the Asiatic nations. Moorish Holy Quran 45:2. The Moorish know the earth's pulse and lifelines which breathe life from Allah. This is why they built major upward structures upon these pulses to ensure harmonious long life. Example given: pyramids, ziggurats, and the great river mounds of North America, parentheses, along the Mississippi River from Louisiana through the Great Serpent Mound in Ohio up to the lakes. To this day, these mounds alone are proof of the Moorish indigenous status to the continental Americas. Noble Drew Ali taught the Moors, she, the earth, is your home, and gave you the body from her womb. The universe, as far as your eyes can see, is just the road to your vast estate. But this is a new age, and the spirit of Aquarius has already made her debut of higher thought activity among men in flesh. Today, there are many to the families of nations, each claiming a portion of land named after themselves. And although this is not man's final abode, without a doubt, nationality is the order of the day. Is it not strange this nationality was the key deprivation to the Moorish enslavement? Is it not equally strange every person on earth has a nationality except those descendants of slaves, still in the United States of America? Nationality is the axis that pivots all governments. It sustains comity among the nations, for the former families of the earth are now recognized as nations, even to the smallest tribe, as the Pequot Nation of the Connecticut River, Foxwood Casino et al. Are only about 500 citizens. Small by comparison, but still a nation. It is sad but true. NBC are 60 million strong, author's estimate, but if you see 50 or more together for a duration exceeding 12 hours, it's because they are attending church or some other festival. Chinese make up about 25% of the Earth's population, with about 1,150,000. Still a nation. The continent of Africa is home to 53 countries, totaling hundreds of nations. So-called Black people of North America are nearly 60 million strong, yet not a nation, and the only one not attached to the families of nations. Is there something in error with this picture? Author's note. The Moorish is 60 million when they count themselves. Their enemy will always generously record them 3/5 of their whole. Everyone is descended from forefathers and are born into a nation. Nations are determined by the genealogy of the parents and the sovereignty in which they are born. The foundation of this acceptance and recognition is a necessity spurned from the global expansion of the human race in accordance to their national vine and fig tree. More simply put, your nationality is your branch to the family tree of nations and the free national name for which you are recognized. One's nationality is one's true identity. No one can honestly deny that as the label on the face of a product identifies the item for the consumer, like so, a nationality identifies the total character of a nation. As no one will see the value of an improperly named product, likewise, no nation has genuine trust for an improperly labeled people. The one free national name of a nation is not accidental words that just happen to pop up in the minds of the people. Such historical name often derives from the lands of origin, patriotic forefathers, and incorporates the divine and natural ethnology of that of an especial people. This is why Noble Drew Ali, an angel of Allah, declared, "This is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth." Act 6. What government on earth recognizes the Negro, black, and colored as a people? The question remains, who are the Moorish Americans? How can they have the continuity of a nation and not be known? Actually, the Moorish existence has undergone a massive European-Arabian historical burial, especially during the periods between 1398 and 1998. There are 66 books compiling the Bible. 39 of these house the Old Testament, which itself is founded upon books taken from the Jewish Holy Bible called the Torah. The majority of the books to the Old Testament reflect the historical and prophetic accounts from the 12 tribes of Israel, known collectively as Hebrews. Basically, it is their story that covers the time period from 3700 BC to 168 BC. Moorish history predates biblical history in excess of 5 million years. By no accurate claim is the Bible the only historical account of the human family. It is not the true beginning. Therefore, it is not the word of the great God. In fact, it is not even the word of the Hebrews, but the word of the Greeks of Europe. See religion. It is a sign of a major prophet to leave a book containing the portion of the one truth brought through his people at that time. There are many books omitted from the Bible for various reasons, mainly because no prophet brought the Bible, nor was it ordained by the great God to be bound into a book. Indeed, each book was brought to a nation called tribes by their prophet for their salvation and comity. The foundation of the Bible, known first as the Septuagint, Greek Biblios, was the Greek's translation of the Hebrew holy books. This was during a time when Greek had become the official language of Palestine. Why is Palestine and pale skin harmonious? Noble Drew Ali speaks of this period. Question: why did Allah send Yehoshua to this earth? Answer: to save the Israelites from the iron hand oppression of the pale skinned nations of Europe who were governing a portion of Palestine at that time. The greatest omitted / cover-up throughout the Bible through this Greek connection was the presence of the African peoples and the Moabite Canaanite genealogy of Yehoshua. Yet these olive-skinned tribes and nations founded over 90% of biblical history. Also, for those readers who are Bible-oriented, it would help them if they notice more closely every begot, beget, or begotten therein are through a national descent or tribal name, not by color or label. This is why there is not Negro, colored, or black folks in the Bible or pre-United States history. Only the pale-skinned Gentiles of Japhet are the exception. In fact, the purposes of translation of the nations of Europe were removing the great moral, historical, and ancestral sinews of the biblical characters. They were completely cut off from obtaining many other books, and over half the life of Yehoshua, 18 missing years, until the advent of the prophet Noble Drew Ali in Egypt. Actually, the prophet of Allah revealed the reason these lessons, parentheses, the genealogy of Yehoshua with 18 years of the events, life works, and teachings in India, Europe, and Africa. These events occurred before he was 30 years of age, which were secret lessons for all those who love Yehoshua. Have not been known is because the Muslims of India, Egypt, and Palestine had these secrets and kept them back from the outside world. See Moore's Holy Quran, page 3. Naturally, King James, a strange forefather of the notorious Frank and Jesse James, and his Shakespearean posse were the chief purloiners of the Moorish existence in the Bible. But there is no death to truth, although man may disguise it for a minute. So the Moabites from Adam through Boaz by Ruth to Yehoshua are there for seekers of truth. Trace their tree of nationalities for the facts. The Arabian European defacement of the Moors. It is always a shocking awakening when anyone views the so-called African Americans' historical slave trade down the noses of Arabian culture. What most NBC people fail to realize, especially those who have so blindly rushed the rafts of their hearts into the swamps of what they think is Orthodox Sunni Islam, a person would find it about as difficult to separate Arabs from trading in slavery of Africans as deciphering wet from water. Although Africans are the paternal fathers and mothers of the people of ancient Havilah, Arabia, the genealogy of their sun-kissed parents has been openly despised into a caste system of perpetual dehumanization. For many centuries, long before the compiling of the first Bible and the lofty advent of Muhammad the Prophet, the commercial trade routes centered in the GD deserts of Arabia were littered open-air markets, traveling traders and businessmen to and from the known world. Naturally, profits breed greed, which creates massive egos that leads to theft and murder. Nothing and no one were exempt from being sold or bought. Commodities, livestock, women, children, and men. While it is true Muhammad chose Islam from among the African religions for his people of Arabia, the new Arab converts, Muslims, would only lay down their lust for trade during salats, prayers. Outside the collective 30 to 45 minutes of daily mandatory prayer times, the kidnapping, dehumanizing, and selling of Africans has been considered a part of Arabia's gross national product. In fact, what is undoubtedly suffered as slavery by today's American Negro black colored has been a natural part of Arab psyche. To the most upright Arab Muslim, the enslavement of infidels is a moral obligation and, above all other human excuses, to sell their African brethren has been dementedly understood as doing the will of Allah. For those who do not know, it was the old Arab traders that taught the Roman popes and their posse of Christian crusaders the art of African trading. From the 1920s to the late 1990s, this Arabian peddling art of direct sales by horse and wagons was so widely used in most urban cities and rural communities for the selling of everything from seafood to dry goods until most NBC communities colloquially called these businesses Arabbing. They would yell, "Get your watermelon red to the rhyme." Beyond the world's greatest kept secrets of the worldwide suppression of the missing 18 years of Yehoshua's life, purposely omitted from the Bible, and the mystery of the true identity of the so-called American, Negro, Black Africans, the Arabs during the 25 centuries are clearly the foremost authority in the lucrative business of African slave trading. Nobody wants to dialogue about the topic. It is considered politically incorrect for Western world powers to divulge the Arab influence into their internal affairs. And somehow it has become an unsung secret, hidden well beneath the First Amendment's freedom of religion, to reveal Arabian contributions to the denationalization of the West Africans so they could be reduced into slavery as Negroes, blacks, and colored people. Denationalization is the true legal definition hidden within the 3/5 clause of the United States Constitution and the word person as used in its 14th Amendment. Noble Durrani said, every nation has suffered slavery due to the fact they did not honor the principles of their forefathers. But what makes the children of Arabia such great slavers of so many African nations? When the old-time religion was first introduced through Prophet Muhammad as Islam, its light revealed Meccans, Arabian merchants, as expert slave traders. Today, most Muslims will speak proudly of Bilal as being the first convert to Islam under Prophet Muhammad's dispensation. Oh, did I mention Bilal was a slave from the East African kingdom of Abyssinia, Ethiopia? Brother Bilal was in fact an Abyssinian national, but also a slave in the markets of Mecca prior to this resurrection of Islam. There was no mistaking the tribal origin of Bilal because he was of such ripe olive, dark skin until his hands were the same sun-kissed hue on both sides. This African national, in the light of Muhammad, is the most renowned Muslim in the history of modern Islam. One would think, with all the Islamic holy smoke of piety, Bilal would be the last African subjected to Arabian slavery. Right? Wrong. Arabs are addicted to the enslaving of spiritual human beings. Historically, Africans have been the preferred delicacy for this grotesque Arabian appetite. It is the so-called ex-slave American Muslim converts who are completely ignorant of this nearly 3,000-year-old predator that now comes under the holy cloak of al-Islam. It is in the chameleonic nature of any man or people without the knowledge of the self to assume any surviving role of their environments. Acceptance of the very Marx NBC firmly implies, I have no idea who I am. Still, it does not take a master historian to see the infinite grace and force of Islam, the world's first religious creed, has never changed the old Arab lust for enslaving Africans. Actually, Islam has been used by Arabs to subjugate the earth's population into either an Arabian thought pattern or be classified as infidels, iblis, or shaitan, to be looked down at as being 6 inches lower than a whale's turd. Superstitious Arabia thinks a non-Arab cannot be worthy of being a true Orthodox Sunni Muslim. This is why Noble Durrani instructs to think not with Arabia. The underlying point to be made here is this: Bilal was not the last East African to be enslaved through Arabia, not by a long shot. So at this time, we want to turn the meeting into the hands of our Consul General of Texas, Dr. Marvin Edwards Bey. Islam?
Islam and gratitude, National Secretary of State, Dr. Marvin Edwards Bey, out of Texas. Praise and honor have been given. And I'll begin. Who are the cities of India? The cities, pronounced Shidis, of India are descendants of East African slaves, sometimes servants, sailors, merchants, and Muslims returning from the Hajj, that had been captured, transported by boats, and sold to Hindu Indian princes by Muslim Arab tradesmen. From the early 5th century of the pre-Muhammadan years to the 15th century, long before the sailing of the first African slave ships to the Americas, the Arabs, now with the Holy Quran in hand, were selling indigenous people of East Africa as slaves to India. The cities of India and the Negroes, blacks, and colored people of North America have a lot more in common than any other people in the history of mankind enslaving man. Like the NBC, these cities have no memory of African ancestry or tribal lineage. They have lost all knowledge that all members of the human family are those bearing one free national name. Both people although a half globe apart, have been denationalized, socially prostituted, and permanently rejected as alien citizenry at the abolishment of their institution of slavery. Needful to say, the Arab thieves who stole them treasured monetary profits. Who treasured monetary profits far more than the future of their human prey. Authors note, the truth of Arabian insensitivity towards their darker-skinned African brothers is the hardest lessons to teach the NBC, especially those who have converted to what they think is Islam and know everything about Arabia from Arabic to Prophet Muhammad, yet have no knowledge of their nationality, self, inheritance, or people. Without these divine and natural rights, the so-called African Americans are as sheep fatted for the re-enslavement via Islam. The African Aborigines of the Indian subcontinent are the first true indigenous inhabitants of what is now called India. Drew Ali refers to them in his questionary under the African epic of Adam and Eve. They are the mothers and fathers of the human family, went into Asia. See appendix. As are most Africans, the Negrito tribes people were very white, dark, olive skin with woolly hair. Some are found today in the hills and interiors of India. The current inhabitants with varying degrees of melanin and straighter hair derived through amalgamating with immigrated Dravidians, Aryans, Huns, Moguls, Arabs, and Greeks. We cannot omit the injected strains by the British, Portuguese, and French. Needful to say, Africans from eastern Egypt to Tripoli and Algiers, coupled with merchants sailing from China, Japan, Ormus, Bengala, and the Orient, made India a cultural melting pot many centuries before the European discovery of America. Another origin of the Shetis is many of them were originally from northern Nigeria, but were later kidnapped upon returning from their Hajj, a required at least once in a Muslim's lifetime pilgrimage to Mecca, by Arab, who else? Slave traders. The Nigerian government reported these non-defective losses after many of the Hajj since the era of Muhammad. To say the disappearances of African souls into Arabian soils are mere coincidences after due diligent considerations of the Arabian African slave trade history is to deny the little boy with the Quran hidden behind his back is also the one who threw the rock. Noble Drew Ali, the first Muslim to lawfully bring Islam into the United States, cautioned the ex-slaves of America, if you are not careful, your own brother will enslave you again. The Arabian slave masters featured the eastern seaboard African slave trade several centuries before their great Ma'afa of the Atlantic pogrom of West African nationals. In fact, the greatest part of the African Shidi slave trade placed the taste of sweet honey in the rock into the mouths of the future world's most renowned slavers from Portugal, Britain, France, and Holland. On the other side of that coin, the Arabs are revealed plainly before the face of Islam as having full knowledge of the denationalizing genocide into which they had sold their African brothers. The evil mechanisms of systemized chattel slavery can literally make an entire people vanish from the face of the earth. Still, at the same time, leave this shell of a nation free to walk amongst upright men under the assumption of equality. The denationalization of human beings is both sinful and criminal. The horror of any denationalization process is its main objective to systematically obscure or eradicate the true identity of its victims. To denationalize a person or people is equivalent to skinning them, this leaving them alive yet marked, isolated from the other nationals and vulnerable to every harmful condition. Because their skinning was performed under the color of law, the denationalized believe they have the same protection as those with skin. Drew Ali described this status in a 1928 address. In all other governments, when a man is born and reared there and asks his name and national descent and fails to give it, he is misused, imprisoned, or exiled. Any group of people that fails to answer up the constitutional standards of law by name and principle, because to be a citizen of any government, you must claim your free national name and descent. Because they place their trust upon issues and names that are not a part and partial of, neither were they formed by their forefathers. The Arabian lust for money, heritage, and power has rendered them completely insensitive to civil and inalienable rights of all non-Arabs, especially Africans. Therefore, they care less as to what happens to their victims once sold into slavery. It is the nature of black market dealers, for example, drugs, weapons, slaves, etc., to completely detach themselves from the merchandise once it has been sold for the agreed price. After all, the product was either purchased by them or at least at a lesser price, or stolen for the sole purpose of profit. The Shidis, although mostly found in the western India state of Gujarat, the village of Jambar, deep in the Gir forest, is one of the more exclusive Shidi settlements. Through the centuries, the Shidis have become divided among themselves and are known as Shidis Kafirs and other misnomers. Shidis, like the NBC, are sewn into the herds of social fabric as irresponsible, lazy, naturally athletic, and above all, not worthy of trust. The government of India, similar to the USA, expects the denationalized ex-slave community to change their pending current political, social, and financial status by conforming to the status quo. Basically, the Shidis are commonly known as the untouchables. Pardon moment, Moore's eyes coming together, blurred. Among themselves are known as Shidis, Kafirs, and other misnomers. Shidis, like the NBC, are sewn into the hymns of social fabric as irresponsible, lazy, naturally athletic, and above all, not worthy of trust. The government of India, similar to the USA, expects the denationalized ex-slave community to change their pending current political, social, and financial status by conforming to the status quo. Basically, the cities are commonly known as the untouchables and are literally treated accordingly. This means no upright citizens would dare contaminate themselves by touching these cities. If they have something to give to them, it is always tossed on the ground for them to pick up after the giver is a safe distance away. Knowing this is like expecting the ass to catch up with the carrot that has been purposely placed within its sight but outside of its reach. This is impossible. This is until they grow their own skin. Speaking of skin, the skin game known as the Varna color system was enacted during the reign of Akbar, the Mughal emperor of India. Some historians, unbeknownst of this 16th century evil, thought Jim Crow and apartheid was rooted in European America and South Africa. Actually, the cities could rewrite the book on the history of subjugation, of separation, of segregation, pardon body. Another hiding of the Moors. Make no mistake about it, the greatest hiding of the Moors is the mental slavery which shields them away from being themselves. Another hiding of the Moors came in the shadow of the Arabian conquest of Africa, which was heavily interwoven with their spread of their cultist version of Islam. National and religious vanity had overtaken Arabia virtually as soon as the Holy Prophet Muhammad left his body of flesh, 632 AD. The Arabian version of Islam was not practiced the same as originally taught to Muhammad by the angelic Egyptian adept referred to as the angel Gabriel. Pure Islam is oblivious to sex and carnal boundaries. Yet today there are Sunni, Shiites, Sufis, Moorish science, nations of Islam, named among the many. Ironically, not one of these sects respects any of the others because each one is the original. In parentheses, the original. Now, those are, I don't know what they are. Multiple conflicts were spurned between devout Muslims and the bloodline Muslims of his immediate family as to which was the most pious to spread the perfectly transliterated religion of Islam. Whenever successorship of divinity becomes a question, it is because human ego, like a black cloud, has hidden Allah from the hearts of men. See Appendix, Morse Holy Quran 1-6. One side said Allah fulfilled his covenant to Abraham and through Africa's Egyptian Hagar. Her son Ishmael is the grand forefather of Muhammad ibn Abdullah. Wives, his children, descendants, and are believers, and are the rightful heirs of his estate, Islam. The others proclaim it is we who were the first of the believers, Muslims, to submit their will to Allah. And we were there to transcribe the Holy Quran, for the angel Gabriel had told Muhammad to read. We heard and obeyed when he was rejected by Meccans and Arabia. This feud of the blessed ones took on an earthbound contention of think like Arabia, dress like the Arabians, dress like the Arabs, attached to the religious saturation of Islam. It also caused the commentaries in translations of the Holy Quran to compete with the hadiths, verbal accounts of the life of the messenger, to impact before the true teachings of the Prophet Muhammad. Okay. These undercurrent rivalries later produced sects among Muslim nationals and communities. Meanwhile, sects are strictly forbidden in the religion of Islam, Surah 42, ayats 12 to 14. Just the same, today's results show there are Sunni, Shiites, Sufi, and dozens more in America and the world. Indeed, this has led to wars between Islamic governments and the 1987 mass murders of pilgrims at the sacred Kaaba, the center of purity for Muslims. Worldwide, Arabs, although marvelous historians, often misplace the fact they were the very last of the polytheistic nations of East Africa to embrace the monotheistic way of life. In fact, prior to the divine advent of Muhammad, the nations of East Africa, prior to the divine advent of Muhammad I, there were more man-made deities in Arabia than water holes. They had 360 gods at the Kaaba alone. Kaaba. People of ancient Havilah Arabia, especially the seeds of Hagar's Ishmael, were among the first to digress by holding steadfast to the fall of Adam, Today, Muslims the world wide over, especially the blessed Arabians, need to abandon the antiquated custom of enslaving people and execute others after Jumu'ah, and then think they are doing the will of Allah or adhering to the Holy Quran. It is tragic and simple for the great people of Arabia to have one of the noblest prophets of all times to be born amongst them and still cling to carnal-minded principles that delude to the institutions of human slavery. No, notwithstanding, this thinking is in error and in violation of the confined ordinances of the great God Allah. Islamism, spiritual science, and the first religious creed founded by the ancient Africans for the redemption and salvation of mankind on earth. See Appendix Most Holy Quran 48, verse 6. It was later developed through the wisdom of the Egyptians, Chinese, Japanese, and adepts of India as a know thyself art through meditation called the straight way, from man to God. Over 5,000 years later, the great prophet Muhammad was sent by Allah to return the perfect, translate into Arabic this same religion, and he named it Islam. Islam in the Arabic language means peace. Yep, the same shalom on earth that Prophet Yehoshua spoke in Hebrew, in the Hebrew language of the Jews, although he speak Aramaic. The words of Noble Drew Ali must be driven at this point, when he wrote, the Moorish, who were the ancient Moabites and the founders of the holy city of Mecca. We'll look around 45, ayat 2. And the same forefathers who are the true and divine founders of the first religious creed. We'll Quran 48, verse 6. These Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit northwest Africa, they were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire. This empire included the kingdoms founded with their Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren, who sojourned from the land of Canaan seeking new homes. Appendix Quran 47:6. The Moroccan Empire extended from Egypt land westward, following the shorelines of the Mediterranean around the rocks of Gibraltar to the Atlantic and all shorelands southwestern to the Capes, rounding the southernmost tip of Africa. The grandeur of the Moroccan Empire and its multiplicity of expanding kingdoms, today called countries, of Northwest and Southwest Africa was, pardon, so did I skip something? No, I'm on the point. Northwestern and Southwestern Africa was inhabited with cities, universities, and villages with customs and trades. These were in place for thousands of years before the spread of Islam, the Ottoman Empire, etc. Truth is, most Africans called it Egypt of the West. The Moors, which with a mixture of ancient and Arabian Islam as their religion, conquered Spain and European countries as far north as Ireland, and were heavily influenced with Moorish architect and cultures. However, some of the Moors held firm to the inherent truth of the forefathers, while others were persuaded to become denationalized and accepted Arabia as the government. While it is true all Moors embraced Islam and acknowledged Muhammad as the messenger of Allah, it was the strangely mixed demand of Arab nationality which created a split among the citizens of the various kingdoms. Okay, in parentheses, to demand the impossibility of changing one's nationality to that of the Arabians was and is as evil as and ludicrous as demanding a Nigerian to be a Negro Christian, in order to be free U.S. citizens. The Moors who bowed down to the sultans of Arabia were made caliphs, sheikhs, and powerful positions in the Ottoman Empire, which was headed by the Turks of in Istanbul. The Turks are the true descendants of Hagar, who are the chief mufti protectors of the Islamic creed of Mecca. See Appendix, Morse Holy Quran 45:7. Bear in mind, there is nothing wrong with Islam now or ever. Still, Islam and other religions have historically been misused and used as bait to conceal carnal hooks of men and nationalism. The divine instructions from the Holy Prophet truly clearly asked, would the fish swallow the bait if he knew the hook were hidden therein? Morse Holy Quran 39:7. Hence, it was the military cohesion of the Christian crusaders with the four-mentioned Bible in hand and the Islamic Arab Moors, which joined forces in Granada, Spain, and not only defeated the Moorish descendants of the ancient Moabites, but actually began the African slave trade with the hostages, 1492 AD. The religious purloiners of European and Arabs that began destroying the world's knowledge of the achievements of civilizations and ancestral knowledge of the then defenseless Moors. After all, the Christians and the Muslims of the 14th and 15th century were the world's ruling military powers, yet they were religious and national enemies. Nonetheless, it's not uncommon for the staunchest foes to bond together in gaining a common objective, and to this day, the only thing these powers agree upon is the subjugation of the Moorish peoples. For any human entity to completely conquer a people, it is the destruction of their accomplishments and history, which gives precedence to the finale of their victory. So, what happened to the torchbearers of civilization? The ancient ones, the gods of the Nile, the Sunni man, the ancient Moabites, who were later called the Atlanteans, Moors, and Morocco, and Mauritania's Haritans. Actually, the only people who truly do not know who the Moorish Americans are the Moorish Americans themselves. Powerful. Today, there are those in full knowledge of who the ex-slave in America truly is. However, most of them have taken blood oaths to swear never to tell before they die. This evil may not seem too bad when it's compared to certain NBC male persons who take the same damn oaths yet do not have a clue to the fact it is they who are the secret. Still, among those that know are the Pope of Rome, the heads of Mecca, Egypt, and the Islamic world, especially. Furthermore, the Hiram, whom they have buried in the shallow grave, pardon yourself, I skipped a line, especially. Furthermore, when a Mason becomes a cut above 32nd degree Shriner or 33rd, they too are given the true name of Hiram, whom they have buried in the shallow grave. Therefore, many officials within the USA know who the Moorish are. See Freemasonry. But this focus is upon the Islamic community, which is the USA which is spreading like the sunlight in the West. Although there are millions of ex-slaves in America whom have embraced Islam, not one imam, Islamic minister, has taught them their nationality since the Sultan Abdul Aziz Abu Saud acknowledged the prophethood of noble Sharif Durrani in 1911 AD. This honorable sultan is a direct descendant of Hagar and the head of the holy city of Mecca. Moore's Holy Quran, page 2. The kingdom of Saudi Arabia was named in honor of the Saudis, El Mamlaka, El Arabia, Al Saudiya. He was the only true Muslim guided by Allah to not only confirm the history and ancestral identity of the Moorish, to Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali, Noble Durrani, but empowered him to teach Islamism as the old-time religion. Number 17 to 18 questions in his nation, Moore's Holy Quran, page 2. His message is called the Great Prophet of Ali. As another point of interest, the extent of an Arab country is limited to the peninsula of Arabia itself. It is purely a European influence to call many other countries governed by the Holy Quran and therefore Arab countries. The proper term for used to describe countries under the Holy Quran is they are all Islamic countries. At the very most, their national name, for example, Egypt, Morocco, Iran, etc., honor that portion of the mother which gives them suck. Holy Quran, chapter 25. And Islam is their chosen or designated religious path governed by Allah. But they are not Arab countries. Only Europeans say this. Needful to say, the nation of Moorish Americans, being a pure and clean nation, will also be Islamic and a divine government. But it will not be Arabia, Arab or Arabian. As for the Muslims of India, Egypt, and Arabia, if they keep the secret of the 18 years of Yehoshua's, of the life of Yehoshua from the nation of Europe, and that he did not die on the cross, Quran, Surah 4, Ayat 157, then being a little hush-mouthed about a mere 500 million ancestors being enslaved could pose no problem, especially when they were either the sellers and or the owners of the slaves. After all, it does not stand to reason a seller is aware of the history and subsequent value of his product. So who else other than Allah would know the true identity better than those who took it away? One need only ask those that know law. In other words, Arabs should be the best knower of the identity of the slaves they sell. And I will now hand it over to the next reading. Islam.
First, I'd like to rise and give all man and praise to Allah. Also, the Prophet, honest child, theocratic government, our royal council, our flag, seal, emblem, our divine constitution, our swift angels, Mufti, citizens alike, honest to all the Moors that are here in attendance, all the ones that sound my voice. And I will begin. When the Moors were sinners. A sinner is one who violates the universal and natural laws of their divine creator. A criminal is one who abuses the laws of men. Needful to say, for those that know how man is put together, realize it's not a lot easier to become a sinner than a criminal, simply because a sin lies in the wish and in the desire of man, not in the act. Whereas a crime is an act already committed and annexed with a conviction and punishment. The latter is usually contingent upon the suspect being caught, convicted, and confined or executed before labeled a criminal. The former actually marks his or her self by their own unnatural and ungodly thoughts. It is often said, to the victor goes the spoils. And being conquerors in Europe for over 800 years, 711 to 1492, made heroes of the Moors. A hero is a character bubbled by public in a weakness of the times. Moorish Holy Quran 42:6. True history does not always taste sweet in the mouth of the present. Most human failures are based upon the repetition to past abuses of man's will to be himself or other than self. Still, slavery, like it or not, has always been a divine issue. It is Allah's way of reproving his children, nation, and cannot be understood by the finite thoughts of carnal men. From an infinite point of view, man has the right to be himself. After all, man is made in the image and after the likeness of God. Allah 90 to 91. He was created to be the Lord of the plane of soul and all things, including his own manifest. But the Sunni man did, in fact, gave up this birthright just to gratify his lower self. See chapter 1. The Moors became very complacent while in Spain and within the 100-mile core of the coastal interiors of North, Central, and Southwest Africa, exchanging their creed, Islamism, and principles of their forefathers to accept the nation's customs and gods of Europe. The Moors knew nothing about these gods with such powers of allurement, but have cores of lewdness, murders, theft, and harmfulness. Many Moors had become Christians, Spaniards, Romans, French, British, Irish, etc., and had misplaced their keys to civilization and had become disrespectful to Islamism. From the scope of age, it was the duty of the ancient Moabites to civilize the lands of their earth with the harmonies of life and return again, according to the unfolding consciousness of man, to realign their postulates for the coming age. This is why our ancient forefathers established civilization here in North, South, and Central America 16,000 years before Christopher Columbus discovered us, already using the continent and islands. This is how the Moors acquired the name time travelers and seafarers, humanity movers. With the advent of our prophet Muhammad, and the sign of the last quarter moon and star, the final stage of perfect consciousness, paradise for man, see signs and symbols. The tribes of Moorish in the West Africa knew the times of the Enlightenment age were in their hands and to bring it to the Western Hemisphere, but the Moorish got caught up in the apples of Europe, which were lovely to the eye and pleasant to the smell. Their core are full of bitterness and gall. The families of nations and the children of Allah, each, according to their own vine and fig tree, has a specific duty to reveal the part of Allah by the name of Allah, in which they have, Moorish Holy Quran 10:18. The duty of the Moorish has eternally been the deliverance of wisdom for the civilizing of men on earth. See Pure and Clean Nation of this chapter. The Moors became sinners and subsequent criminals when they failed in the inherent obligation, and in the layman's terms, the God of their forefathers spanked their sinning Moorish asses with, with the wrath of slavery. In this respect, the Europeans, Jews, and Arabians were but instruments of the great God, used to move the hands in the clock of destiny to the proper hour. The Moors reaped their own divine punishment. The Moorish, being the founders of Islam, became sinners when they became other than image of God. They actually requisitioned their own enslavement. They were the first to know the answer to Allah's question, "Who are you, Adam?" See Adam and Eve, Genesis. The Moors were found not on their divine job. Plus, the Moors had adopted slavery. Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali wrote in his little book of men, through sin and disobedience, every nation has suffered slavery due to the fact that they honor not the creed and principles of their forefathers. That is why the nationality of the Moors were taken away from them in 1774, and the word Negro, black, and colored was given to the Asiatics of America who were of Moorish descent, because they honored not the principles of their mother and father, and strayed after the gods of Europe, of whom they knew nothing. Moorish Holy Quran 47, 16 to 17. Noble Drew Ali said, the Europeans went to the Sultan of Morocco and asked for permission to come over to West Africa, America, to develop this land. They granted a 50-year mandate to do so. Then the Europeans went to a old sheikh, Caliph of Tripoli, and asked him to give them some people to help them to build the Westmorelands. The sheikh told them to take the Moors because they are not being industrious. In the due course of justice, all things were placed in their true harmony with life. Therefore, as the Moors awaken from the grave of mental slavery, it is paramount with love at its highest to balance the scales to their enslavement with correct resolution. Moorish Holy Quran 41, 6 to 13. They must learn to love instead of hate. If one points a finger of scorn to the participant of their enslavement, it will leave 3 fingers of irresolution aimed at oneself. It is a sin to be black. It is a sin to be black. All people who claim the slave names of Negro, black, and colored, knowing the era of slavery abolished these labels with the institution of slavery, 1865, still live in sin. The noble prophet said, these names have never done them any good, but has always harmed them. They know it is not the true and divine way, and without understanding, they have fallen from the true light into the utter darkness of sin. And there is not a nation on earth today that will recognize them socially, religiously, politically, or economically, etc., in their present condition of their endeavorment in which they themselves try to force upon a civilized world. They will not refrain from their sinful ways of actions, and therefore had brought Jim Crowism, segregation, and everything that brings harm to human beings on earth. And they fought the Southerners for all these great misuses, the use of Negro, black, and colored slave names. But I, Noble Drew Ali, have traveled in the South and have examined conditions there, and it is the works of my people continuously practicing the things which bring dishonor, disgrace, and disrespect to any nation that lives the life. And I am hereby calling on all true American citizens for moral support and finance to help me in this great missionary work to bring my people out of darkness into the marvelous light. This is why Noble Drew Ali said it is a must for all Moorish Americans to keep their hearts and minds pure with love, to learn to love instead of hate. Hell, it was self-hate which caused our last fall. Can this be denied? The nations of the earth today are uncivilized and are at seen and unseen wars. They await and are in need of the return of the ancient ones. What modern nations call civilized today is in fact life in reverse. The last prophet in these days recites, "Thine interest into the world, is it not shameful? Thy destruction, is it not glorious? Lo, men adorn the instruments of death with gold and gems and wear them above their garments. He who begets a man hideth his face, but he who killeth 1,000 is honored. Now, know thou notwithstanding that this is an error. Custom cannot alter the nature of truth, neither can the opinion of man destroy justice and destroy justice. The glory and the shame are misplaced. More Holy Quran 44, 4-7. Still, this is what is labeled as civilized by the nations in the mirrors of today. Yet amidst this rocky surface rest the Moorish Americans. Islam, Islam, Islam. And I will turn this meeting back over to our host and instructor for this class, Dr. Shahid Al-Maki Al-Mohadi Shabazz, Islam.
Islam. Can you hear me, grand man?
Islam.
Yes, sir. Gratitude to the scribes who want to rise upon the 7 within the circle of justice, mercy, love, and right, and give all praises to the great God Allah, Father God Allah, and honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, Al-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere, and therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal. We give honors to our Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution, and bylaws, and honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything, and I do mean everything, that our holy prophet brought to make us a nation. Again, we want to welcome you to another ears session, Egyptian Adeptus Research Sultanate session. And I'm your host instructor, Dr. Shahid Imani Al-Mohadi Shabazz. My ancient committee and high name being the same as Dr. Shedawa Mintio Mohajid Shepsuel. And we have a grand drawing to bring to our family as always. The grand key when it comes to dealing with this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding is being able to embrace, our history. And that's why it's necessary that we always lay a foundation with the Book of Fire, so that our people may thereby be able to receive, the wisdom that we are bringing forth, and also understand that we are not the adversary, we are not the enemy per se, but we are the ones that are on the front line teaching our people, exactly what it is that they should be taught, and that we are not to be confused with the pale-skinned Arabs, nor their teachings. The virgins, we don't seek to dealing with the amalgamation of their teaching into those versions, of what it is that they demonstrate. But we have our own special school of thought, a madhab, which is actually drawing from the teachings of the ancient Sabians. If anything, those who actually inhabited Mecca prior to the Arabs coming forth with what they have, because what they are calling Al-Islam, I had been calling throughout the years Al-Islam was nothing more than a Bedouin version of the teachings, that Muhammad had brought. They had added a whole lot to it, but they took a lot of the spirituality out of the teachings and basically used it as a tool of enslavement and everything else. So we are not those who shy away from that, because we know that wasn't us. We know that, as our chairman pointed out, You know, what happened to the original people? You know, where did they go? What happened with their history? And this is the missing link. You know, and Rome has been crafty enough to fool some of our people that want to be fooled, you know, and have them push a false narrative and have you thinking that we are here teaching Arabism, you know, teaching the teachings of the people who enslaved our people. Nothing can be further from the truth. You know, so we bring these things forth because all of it is relevant, even when it comes down to getting into dealing with the language. You know, because if you don't know history, you're doomed to repeat it. You know, if you don't know the proper aspects, you know, of the historical base, you know, then, I mean, who can you teach? What can you teach thereby? You see? I mean, you can only regurgitate what it is that master has given you if you don't have the proper knowledge of self. You know, and this is a powerful thing because we're going to end up in the future really getting into, you know, the psychological effects of what this slavery really has done to our people as well. You know, we always touch on it anyway here and there, but all is well. We got some grand drawing to bring to our people this morning. You know, we are still dealing with the second Shat, which is known as the Demotic language in modern terms or whatever the case may be, but second Shat is the proper affiliation, so to speak, when you're dealing with coming from the perspective our ancestors brought forth. You know, so we give honors to the great God, honors, you know, to our holy prophet, you know, the Egyptian adept master, you know, for all the work that he has done and all the work that he continues to do from the plane of soul. Because now the enemy can't hide. And that's why we are able to expose everything it is, which we're getting ready to do in a few minutes. You know, and we can do it in no matter of time, so to speak, even though time never was in the first place. So this is a powerful demonstration, family. And if you can stomach the truth, embrace the reality of what it is to teach your history as opposed to someone else's mystery, then, you know, this is where you're supposed to be. It ain't no strange happening. You know, all is well. So what I'm going to do this first, just to give a brief recap on what we went over last week. And then we are going to go deeper into some of this papyri, especially dealing with the Rosetta Stone, one of the most controversial artifacts, you know, to be produced in the 19th century. We know it existed long before that right there, but, you know, we got to really be humorous when we deal with this thing. And I'm actually referring to the remix, you know, Champollion brought forth. So in our last measure, we showed our people the origins of the alphabet. We showed our people undeniably, you know, when it comes to dealing with the truth, you know, how we was able to bring forth our version, our chart, which you see right here, put everything in order. You know, this is one of the earlier keys. We have a more refined chart, even though it corresponds with this chart here. And it's really just learning that everything come forth from the ancient language of Kemet. This is a whole Demotic papyri, by the way, dealing with the Gospel of Thomas. Most of our people don't even know that a lot of the so-called New Testament documents, you know, some of the oldest, you know, were recorded in Demotic, you see, and also what they call Old Nubian. And there's a relationship between Old Nubian and Demotic. We'll get into it at another time because it's a connection between that and what we call Meroitic, you know, as well. And Meroitic and Old Nubian most definitely have a connection as well. Our beloved brother Mustafa Gadala, you know, had told us on many occasions that you basically dealing with the same language. You know, you're dealing with the language that's coming forth from the same people, basically. You know, so we got to give honors what honors are due. You know, let me go into this other document I had here. I'm just skimming over. This was the more refined version we showed our family. We went letter for letter last week, dealing with the Demotic. So I will touch on this here and there, but we're gonna really get into the papyri. I want to get into the papyri. So I was able to compile this after a long process of, you know, being real careful and, you know, vetting and so forth and so on, and put this together with the sound shifting, as you always hear me speaking of, because you have to have this knowledge. If not, none of this would make sense when it comes to dealing with linguistics, because you will always be looking at it through the lens of the European. You know, so this was the more refined version of the chart. And although this was the hieratic version, you know, the pronunciation is still the same. You know, I utilize the Egyptian Arabic pronunciation, which is actually akin to the Coptic dialect. They have many different versions of it, but, you know, this is better than using the Europeans' concept of just putting the E in between a particular letter and trying to sound things off. Praise be to the Most High, you know, and nature, that I was able to be privy and learn from somebody that actually taught at Dar Ulum. Dar Ulum, you know, in Cairo University. And so I was able to learn pronunciation from there. And so I used my knowledge of that and applied it to what we demonstrate now. You know, and that's what we are supposed to do. When we learn things, we should be able to make them applicable at one point or another. So, for example, in this chart, and I'm briefly doing this, and we're going to get into the papyri in a minute. We'll probably even come back and forth between this. In this chart right here, when you see the little red next to the black with the slash in between it, I'm showing the sound shift. You know, and if you go down here into this chart here, right? Like I told you, we use the same pronunciation, you know, that we use, expression we use in hieratic, even with the Demotic or the Hecopter, either or. When you come down here, you will basically see that there is a connection, so to speak, when it comes to dealing with this special drawing. So all of these things here, and you see the L and the R is very close to each other right here. It's kind of blurry a little bit. The L and the R is close to each other right here, even in this chart dealing with the Arabic out of the Quran, because Ra and La pretty much come from the same area. So the pronunciation, when you look at the points here, you know, this is where your tongue is touching. Ra, La, Ra. If you do it right now, your tongue is touching these 2 points here. So you come from the R down here, right here in the roof of your mouth. Then the L. So it's La, Ra, La, Ra. So you can see the connection between La and Ra, and how they would have a connection between each other when it comes to sound shifting. You see, I'm just pointing these things out so that you would be able to have a knowledge. Now, if I were to show you, for example, this L right here, see the L? This is the, notice I had the Arabic letter L, the same one that I had up here. You know, that's the L, look like a J. You know, an umbrella without, you know, the covering, so to speak. You know, the same thing here. See the L, and we see when we come over to the letter R, we have the same letter. These are this is a hieratic letter next to the Arabic now. You know, because I had to put this together in the sound shift, because this particular chart didn't have all of the letters as we have them expressed. So I had to go through the sound shifting process and match up the ones that were with each other. So if I were to go to I'm gonna do this right here. I'm gonna open up another. Let's see. I'm gonna open up another email measure so I can get back into the mail again and go back to that other chart that I had. Because I want y'all to see that everything checks out just as it should. So let me go hit sent. Let's see, sent. Okay, and we'll go back here to assignment. I'm just trying to open up the other page, so we go here, and then we're gonna go into this other PDF that I was in earlier, because there's something that I can pull out of this and show it to you. I know good well they ain't playing like this. Well, we'll do this here. But we ain't got time to be playing with y'all people. Now it lit up then all of a sudden, huh? But that's all right. So anyway, I'm gonna scroll this right here. This is where I was trying to get. So in this particular chart, you see hieratic and demotic in it. So I'm gonna go to the letter L here, right? So that you can see it. And the letter R. See the letter R here?
Islam God, man, are you showing a different chart than one you had up there originally?
Yeah, it should be showing my entire screen right now. Let me stop sharing it, good brother, and try to reshare it. Thank you for the notification. Okay. Let me see here. I'm going to hit entire screen again. And let me know if you see me moving all over the place, grand man. Can you see what I'm showing?
Yes, sir.
Right now?
Yeah, I see your cursor now. Yes, sir.
Did it change then too?
Yep.
Okay, that's where we wanted at then. Praise be to Allah. So what we have here is the hieratic letter R that I was just showing y'all in the chart, which is sound shifted to the letter L. You know, here. You know, this is the actual demotic L here that they have in this particular chart. You know, we'll probably end up maybe updating the other chart and adding the demotic to it, or just do one with the demotic separate things itself. Take the letters out of the document that I've been utilizing, which is this document here, you know, and then just assign the demotic to it too. But, you know, pretty much if you went back and forth between that one and that one, you can match the sound shift up. If you know the letters, you can match them up anyway. So I'm gonna go back over here to, let's see, that other chart that I had up here a few minutes ago. And we go to this area here, and you see the letter S/Z. S and Z is relatable to each other in the sound shift. Z, you know, obviously. And even if you were to go back down here, you know, it would be the same measure. See the letter S right here? This is S. Sad is what they call it in Arabic. Notice the S's. Seen, Sad, seen, right? And then even the Z here, because they're just alike. And notice they have all the same hieratic symbols here, even though this is dealing with that.
Islam, are you froze? Can't hear you.
Froze. Do my other scribes see this cursor moving over here?
Now we can hear you. Before you had blinked out.
Oh, really? Okay, and I can hear it too. I can hear the lag when the brother just said what he said. So yeah, on my yeah. Me and the Grand Secretary of the State was talking about this earlier. You know, so that's out of my control, boys. Just let me know when it happens. You know, so let me go back over here. All right, can you hear me clearly still?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's long. All right, so I'm gonna go back to where we was. Yeah, as I was showing you right here that the sod, the scene and the zod, you can go and trace these sound shifts back, and if you try to pronounce it, it's gonna come out that your tongue gonna touch your mouth in the top of at the roof of your mouth, so to speak. This is showing you where these letters are pronounced from. So let me go back up here because it's only a few measures on the sound shift I deal with here. Here's another one dealing with a lowercase s and a z and a th and a dh. And if you go right here in the same measure, you will notice that that is actually right here beneath the other one. The SSZ, you got the ZZTH, Z. That's how you pronounce it, like Z, as in THEE, That's how you pronounce it. And you see it's still coming from the same area, but just a little lower and closer to the frontal, of the mouth, so to speak. Z. You pronouncing it from there. Almost barely touching, really barely touching your mouth, the roof of your mouth, if you want to call it, or just the back of your front teeth, if you want to say that. Z. So right here. So those are in the same areas, which makes sense. And if you pay attention, all of these are pretty much mapped out with the way you pronounce these things. We have that chart too, standing alone. You can see them better. But I'm trying to blow it up as good as possible without distorting the image. And we also know that there's a K and a Q in the sound shift. When we go just dealing with the letters alone now, where will we find the K and the Q at? Right here in the back. Okay, right here. Almost in the back, K. The middle of your tongue is often touching. Q, K, touching the roof of your mouth. It's back here in this area. See the two little dots right here? Look at the Q and trace the line all the way back to the mouth on the map. K and Q, right? So this is why the sound shift identifies how these letters are related to each other. We already did the R and L, so we won't go through that again. But we got D and T, which actually was above the S's right here. D and T, right here. Because T is interchangeable with the letter D. T, D. See it right here? T and D. You see where you pronounce them from? And that's actually in between the L and the R, in between the Z and the S, the T and the D. Right? So then when we come to the letter F and P, fe, P, fe, they are pronounced. Let's go down here to the map, because ain't no F. I'm in a P part, see F in the Arabic. F is the sound shift. And so when we come here, this is your F right here. Which will substitute the P, so to speak. But we come from right here. You see? Okay. So you have X. And you can hear that k portion in there. X, X, X. You know, that's the KH. G, G, K, K. It's right there. And then we have G and K. All of those are related in sound shifts. And this is actually what causes words to change based upon the language that they come from. And that's why you have to have knowledge of the sound shifting. So where will we find this at? You know, if we come down here, you know, dealing with it. Here we go right here. See the CH, the KH, and the X here. See the Arabic letter? Ha. You know, so we come over here. You can see the ha here, the G there. See? And the ha. All of that right there is related. This is coming from deep within the throat. Glottal, so to speak. So that's the k sound, right? And then this would fall in the same category, the X and the K. You know, it's in the same area, so, you know, we don't really have to go back. Then we have this ch sound. Ch sound. Ch, ch. You know, ch, j, j, j. See, the G and the J is relative to each other here. You know, and if we were to come down here into this particular area, you know, you see the GH here. Hold on, let me blow that up. You got the GH here. You see? And then you got your G. You see? So like, yeah, all of those pretty much will connect. And if you're coming over here, you know, we can see overlap between this G as well. And also we can see, trying to find that other alphabet, the gene. But actually the gene is right. Oh yeah, gene. There go the vowels in the throat area. There it go right there, part itself. You know, still coming from the same area behind. So, you know, that's the gene. Gene. Hold up. Now let me go here to the last letter. And they actually have a T and a Z, but this is really TS. C, C, Z. This is really like a TS sound. S, S, Z. Here. So, you know, these are the things that, you know, you're able to pick up on, and it becomes better when you become more knowledgeable of the language. And this is just dealing with sound shifting, showing you letters that relate to each other. And this is across the board, universally. Because some letters in their language, they may not have an X in their language. We see the X in a lot of African languages, though. But you know that X would often be expressed here, like the ko. You see? Instead of like X. Instead of saying X Hosa, you know, you say Kosa, the Kosa people. You know what I mean? So you'll pick up on it when it's time. You'll know when sound shift has come forth. I just wanted to show our people them particular things about the language real quick before we go into some of this papyri. You know, i.e. the Rosetta Stone. You know, and we got our Google Translate up here because this thing ain't letting us actually translate through the actual tool. So you already know we're going to always be able to get the job done. It ain't nothing that's going to slow us down. So what I want to do right now, I want to get down to the nitty gritty. We finna get into this Rosetta Stone and see what's really going on over here for those who are interested. And we're going to touch on a few words here and there too as well. You know, so This is the source material. This is actual source material right here. This is 196 BCE. I'm going to translate this right here in Google so that our people can see the introduction of what's being said here. That way you have some background on this. Because a lot of this stuff is in German, some of it may be in French. And this is telling us E.A. Wallace Budge, Rosetta Stone, 1913, London. Spielberg, the Demotic text of the priestly decrees of Canopus, because that's actually another name of the Rosetta Stone. The decrees of Canopus, in Memphis. Because they was putting these things up when they got through conquering the area. They started coming up with these Canopus decrees, and this was really to legitimize the invaders, basically. That's why I don't get how so-called chematologists out here praising this Rosetta Stone when it really dealing with decrees that were set out, for the overthrow of our people. I just can't get past that. So then they have, the Rosetta Stone facsimile drawing, the Demotic grammar, the Ptolemaic sacerdotal decrees. And this is good that they use this terminology. This is actually what we need to call it, really, right here, because that's what they are. That's what the Rosetta Stone really is. We're going to use this here, Ptolemaic sacerdotal decrees. That's basically what it is. It came from the Ptolemies. We got to make sure you know where it comes from. That way you don't think our ancient ancestors created Rosetta Stone, because that's where they done pulled the wool over the eyes of our people. They out here praising a relic that didn't even come from our ancestors. How many times we have to say that? But some people still don't get it. They think because they stamped it Egyptian that it came from the ancient Egyptians. And nothing can be further from the truth. So that's why we're here to bring about some clarity for y'all. So, these are just other tools that they mention in here. The Thesaurus Lingua Egypti. We got that up in here. TLA. The vocabulary of the Egyptian language. Academy of Sciences, Literature, Managed, Demotic Text Database. So this is showing you all of the tools that's being used here. Again, translated. It's a lot of stuff in here, family. Look at that. They even had text from the environment of the Old Testament and all that. I was just telling y'all that it's a lot of Demotic texts, that were biblical. But that's a whole nother measure. We'll get into that later. I just want to start with this little introduction that they have up here above, the actual Rosetta Stone inscriptions here. And this is BME A24, the Rosetta Stone. So if you go and look it up in, different museums or whatever, BM means British Museum, by the way. This is the British Museum number here. Yeah, this is the British Museum. See, it says Corpus Ptolemaic inscriptions. See, it's telling you that this comes from the Ptolemies right here. I'm telling you this stuff come from the Ptolemies, not the ancient Egyptians. See? And then they put these other names on it. And they got some of the same things here. Got a lot of more sources actually to go deeper into it. So y'all can't never say that we ain't gave y'all no sources for you to go do the research. We just ain't finna put it out there, to the extent that we give it to you and you ain't got no work to do. And that's what's wrong with some of our people. They want us to give them information where they ain't got to do no research. Now, we done did most of the research here for you when it comes to dealing with a lot of the linguistics in the language. But some things you got to go and do the research for yourself, people. So some people ask for a source because they lazy. You understand? They don't want to do the work. They want you to do it all for them. So we don't work hard to bring this information to you. The least you could do is do some research yourself as well. So that's that microwave oven demonstration. They want it right now. They don't want to dig for it. and then they want to question you, so you bring out more information. That way they don't have to do no research. They think they slick now, but we know what time it is. That's a sign of laziness when they be doing that. So let me go ahead and go back to the actual measure. I'm gonna blow it up a little bit. You know, we can actually hover over this, and it's actually hovering over, you know, the facsimile, or you can say the copy, if you will, of Rosetta Stone. You know, that's what you see down there, that little picture that's coming up, you know. And you can basically, you're going to learn pretty much what's actually being said. See what happens when you click on it? When you click on it, it's going to take you right up here to what's here. They even take you to the Coptic lemma, you know, of what's being said here, all the other words that relate to it or relative to it. And then you can scroll right down here in the tool, and it's going to pull them up, all the attestations where you can find these things. See, it say attestations, Sias. You know, this is your Rosetta Stone, 196 BC. You know, and then you can go, they got the other Memphis Decree here. Same thing here. In all the areas where you would look for, they got them, you know, in the database. You know, where these different ligatures were used. Ligatures as it relates to the letters. But some of them consist of 2 letters. You see? So we're going to get into it in a second. Just bear with us here. We're going to go directly, because this is the text. Remember, people, this is the actual text here. This is the Demotic. When we come down here, for those who don't know, this is the transliteration of the Demotic. You see? And this is the translation of the transliteration. So these are different steps you have to go through. It's a 3-step process. So let's deal with, let's go up here and point this out real quick. Oh, goodness gracious. Let me see here. Okay, let's go up here. So we're going to deal with line number 1, right? Line number 1, the word that's used here is inti, right? Inti iri, or yiri, if you want to say it that way. Inti iri. Let's go and see what is being demonstrated here. Scroll it down. Come on, let me do that. Do that. And this is it right here. This is where they started at. Intieri. I'm trying to go in between it. And I want to go to the first word that's translated here. We ain't gonna go word for word like that, right? It'll play with, you know. And this is saying what's not. What does what's not mean? You translate this right here first. We're gonna get into it. Let me put this. I'm gonna just do the whole thing, and I'm gonna try to get to the first period here. Because if I put too much in here, they're gonna act like they can't. It's gonna be too much for the system. I'm gonna try to stretch it out a little bit. Uh-oh, that's too much. They go a period right there. I'll tell you what I do. I'm gonna come from this period and then go all the way up. Come on, man. Okay. Might need to get me a little mouse. Okay. That might be too much right there, but I'm gonna see. Okay. I wish I could just hit it like that right there, and then it's supposed to translate it to English. But it ain't acting right. So let me come over here. Okay. Okay, go to Google Translate again. Let me clear this out here real quick, family. We're going to drop this in here. Okay, well, let me get it. That's good. That's a good little bit right there, too. So let's read what's being said here. And we're going to try to pull some of this stuff up. So it says ream. We touched on some of this last week, but we didn't go all the way as far as we are now. We'll probably just deal with this particular portion. But we ain't going to try to do the whole thing in one day. But we'll go here first to give our people some background because they can only digest so much information before the brain begins to shut down. So it says ream, year 9, day 4, Candicos. It states, which according to the Egyptian calendar corresponds to month 2, Peret, day 18 of the king, the Yoth, who appeared as king in his father's place, right? The one of the Uraeans, whose honor is great, who has strengthened Egypt by making it beautiful. Now you got to remember, these are not the native Egyptians. These are Ptolemies that's coming in here.
It's
Strengthen Egypt. Go ahead, Grand Secretary of the State.
Yes, sir. Pardon self. Were you showing the Google Translate part to us?
Yeah, I was. It still done flip the script again and ain't showing y'all.
It's just showing the scribes and yourself. Gratitude.
See, and I just hit select screen. I didn't even take, so it's kicking me off. And I didn't even know it's kicking me off. Was it showing everything that I was showing y'all prior to that?
Yes, up until the part where you did the snapshot of the German to put it into Google Translate, then that's where
when it dropped.
We didn't see it. Right.
Okay. So yeah, please let me know when it do that there, because I definitely didn't know it had done fell off the map. Goodness gracious. Let me see here. So again, we're gonna go back to Google Translate. And again, this is not the ancient Egyptians. These are not the native Egyptians. These are the Ptolemies doing all this tough talk. You know, talking like they've been there all their life, basically. You know, so it says ring. It says the year 9 of the day of Candicos, which according to the Egyptian calendar corresponds to month 2, Peret, day 18 of the king, the Yoth, who appeared as king in his father's place. Now, this would have been like Heru, you know, appearing in the place of Al-Sar if it was ancient Egypt. But in this case, we talking about the Ptolemies, you know, that's talking about them appearing in the place, a son appearing in the place of a Ptolemaic father, so to speak, not an ancient Egyptian. But anyway, it says his father's place, one of the Uraeans, and it says, whose honor is great, who has strengthened Egypt by making it beautiful. Now, I don't know how you're going to strengthen Egypt by tearing it down at the same time. Somebody got to give me, you know, fill me in on that. How can you strengthen a place and overthrow it at the same time? Because if you don't belong there, you know, I mean, who you giving praises to? You know, who you honoring? You see, this is what I want to know. That's what I've been yet to figure out when it comes to dealing with these people. They're going to come in there and basically make it beautiful. Like, you know, like they talking about make America great again. So if it got to be made beautiful and you the one that's making it beautiful, then it must have been ugly, so to speak. I mean, I don't know. I'm just using common sense and common logic. But nevertheless, our people don't even know that this exists. You got people out here teaching Kemet now and don't even know what the Rosetta Stones say. But they out here trying to dig up the Rosetta Stone. They out here promoting the Rosetta Stone. They out here talking about Champollion translated the Rosetta Stone and crooked the Code of Metal Nether. And half of them don't even know what's being said up in here. Now tell me if that ain't crazy. That means they believe everything Master say, but they ain't gonna do no research. They ain't gonna do their own vetting. So we going in the document thanks to Google Translate. We can translate some of this German and French and everything else. You know, so it's a two-edged sword when it comes to dealing with this internet. But some of it is useful. And this is very useful for us to be able to see what's going on over here. You know, because we would have to learn German, you know, and French and all these other languages in order to really see what's going on. So those who are familiar with them languages, they already seen what the deal was. So here we go in here paying homage to the Ptolemies, you know, for overthrowing our ancestors. And we want to promote that as a source of decipherment for the language. I ain't gonna even go. Let me keep it moving. So anyway, it goes on to say, you know, one of the Uraeans whose honor is great, who has strengthened Egypt by making it beautiful, whose heart is charitable to the gods, who is above his enemies. And you got to remember, who were the enemies? It had to be the people that they were conquering. Huh? Goodness gracious. Who has made the life of men beautiful? Lord of the years of said festival, like Ta and Tenin, and the king like Ray. Why every time the European enter somebody's culture and conquer them, they saying that this is for their own good? It's the same thing with the critical race concept they got going on, where they saying that had not the European enslaved us, we wouldn't be knowledgeable as we are now. You know, had not the Greeks and the Romans went into Kemet, then Kemet wouldn't be greatly known as it is now. Man, you don't feel like that's real disrespectful, family? How somebody gonna come and beat you up? Let's put it on the street level, because most of our people understand it. How somebody gonna come to your house and beat you up, gang up on you, click up on you, beat the brakes off of you, as they would say, or the Bitcoins, beat the Bitcoins out of you, right? And then tell you it was for your own good that they put them knots on your head. I don't mean to laugh, Morski, but that's basically what the European has been doing. And so they have become masters of this, right? Like I said, they did it to ancient Kemites. Didn't know what they were doing. They were savage. They couldn't possibly know how to build them pyramids. It was us who came in there and helped them refine the knowledge of everything it is they created. You hear the audacity of this madness? That's exactly, and the people go for it. So anybody that's promoting this Eurocentric Roman ideology, that means that they the enemy of the people. I don't care how good they try to dress it up, you know. And if we out here telling them that's what they're doing, and they're gonna keep on doing it, and then attack us and say that we pseudo. No, you, sir, is pseudo. You are pseudo. You have a pseudo Eurocentric mindset. Want to give honors to our brother Kobe Cabone. You know, I've been doing a little research and met a goddess that was giving me some insight into this brother. And he was talking about that Eurocentric, you know, mindset that our people have. Same thing that our chairman talked about, the post-traumatic slave syndrome, and, you know, this pretty much trying to be like master mindset. You know, when I be saying Oreo, dark on the outside and cream filled on the inside, that's basically what the brother talking about. You know, what he termed Black Europeans. Now, a lot of y'all think that right there mean the Moors. But ain't no such thing. So, you know, but that's the phrase the brother used. He talked about the Negropeans, the Black Europeans. This is the mindset that we have when we deal with a lot of this teaching. They don't have to get up here and stand over you with no whip now, because they got our own people that's come out here and they're going to push the narrative forward. You feel me? So now watch this. It says the king of the upper known, right? Well, actually, I will start here. Let's go back here. It said, who has strengthened Egypt by making it beautiful. Made it beautiful by conquering it, right? putting some Ptolemy images, whose heart is charitable to the gods, who is above his enemies. Remember, the native Egyptians got to be the enemy because that's who they conquered, who has made the life of men beautiful. The Lord of the years of the said festival, like Tatinin, and it states the king like Re. So they want to be like Ra now. The king of the upper gnomes and the lower gnomes, and the son of the gods who love their father, whom Ta chose, to whom Re gave victory. The image of the living Amun. We talked about this last night, Amun. So, you know, good and well, wasn't no Europeans or black Europeans back there during that time. So they trying to tell you that Ra gave them victory over the native Egyptians in here. The son of Re Ptolemy, ever living, loved by Ta, the appearing gods whose goodness is beautiful. And if you think I'm playing, son of Ptolemy and Arsinoe, the gods who love their father love, and of the priests of Alexander, and the saving gods of the brother gods, and the benevolent gods, and of the gods who love their father King Ptolemy, the appearing gods whose goodness is beautiful. Atus, son of Atus, Pyrrha, daughter of Philinus. And we showed some of these. We're going to show you these pictures again. Philinus, who was Anthlopore before Berenike, the benevolent, as Arei, daughter of Diogenes. You know, none of that is comedic. But okay, if you accept it. Cain, poor, before Arsinoe, who loves his brother. None of this don't even make no sense. Irene, daughter of Ptolemy, was priestess of Arsinoe, who loves her father. We're going to stop right there because that's the first period we got. So now let us go up here and see who some of these people is. And we done did this before. We already know who Ty is. We know who Amun is. You know, but we don't know no Re Ptolemy. I don't know nothing about no Re Ptolemy being no ancient Egyptian. Liars, deceivers, usurpers. You see? Oh, we ain't playing with them. We calling them out. Re Ptolemy. Let's see if we can even Google this. Let me see. I'm going to see something. Let me go to Google because it's the only thing that's going to yield what I wanted to yield. It's going to do a deeper search. Let me see. I better not find no Re Ptolemy up in here. They'll probably give me Ptolemy alone. Well, they already got it spelled out. But they just got Ptolemy up here, right? Well, since we're here, we want you to see what Ptolemy looked like. And we'll just go through a couple of these little pictures right here. Now, these are the people that gave you your Rosetta Stone. Right here. The Ptolemies. And it's a long line of Ptolemies. Look at them. Do that look like your people to you? Where you Egyptologists at out there? Here it is again. It's Ptolemy right here. This look like an older bus. Look at that. You know good and well. You know good and well, people. This is all Ptolemaic dynastic stuff here. I ain't even going to click on it. I'm just show it to you from the outside. Look at this. So this right here let you know red flag on the plate. And even just looking at this little Ethiopian head as compared to Ptolemy, you can see the big difference. You can see the difference, family. You know that ain't your people. You know, so anybody that's out here praising this Rosetta Stone, I'm going to keep saying it over and over again. You know, talking about they used it as a tool of decipherment. It was the dictionary used by Champollion. If you keep pushing that right there, you got to be the enemy of the people. Because if they knew this history right here that I'm showing you right now, ain't no way in the world you're going to call yourself a chematologist. you know, and still push that narrative, man. Here's even a Ptolemaic version or a Greek version of a pharaoh right here. Yeah, they were doing that. They was creating that type of stuff, man. You know, like, I mean, we can just go on and on and on. You know, showing it. We even already showed y'all how they went in there and created their own little Ptolemaic, you know, rulers wearing the crown of Deseret, the crown of Lower and Upper Egypt. Look at all of this here. You know, good and well. I can't do nothing but laugh at this stuff right here. It ain't even funny like that, but I can't do, you know, you got to laugh to keep from crying. Look at this. They got Ptolemaic coins on it. Ain't got your face on it. Same way they was stamping money with European faces, and Rome started doing it in this modern time. The European, they were doing it back then. These don't look no different than the nickels and the quarters and the dimes that you have right now with European faces on them. And it became controversial to talk about putting Harriet Tubman on some money and a few more people, because that ain't supposed to be the case. So, you know, you got to know what you're looking at, people. Some people that don't know history, they'll look at this right here and swear this one of our ancestors. This comes straight up out of the Ptolemaic dynasty right here. You know, that's all you got to do. It don't take long to tell the truth. It's right here. You know what I mean? They come up in here and remixed everything. This just told me now. We ain't got into the rest of them they done named. Let's go back. Let's see. Because if this don't convince you, this is primary source material I'm showing you, then you just ain't going to get it. We have to go into this, though, before we go into the language even further, because you got to know what happened. So let's go here. Who was the next? Who next in line? Which one of these told him is next in line? Well, King told me we know that'll fall in line with the same thing we had. We already know right here. We know how we're going to go on ahead and go here just for the sake of it, because some of our people, Arsenal, that's the next. That's the one next up. Arsenio. Let's go and pull him up. Let me see. Was it? Yeah, I think that's what it was. They pulled up Arsenio Hall. Hold up. Give me 1 second here. Make sure I'm spelling it the way they spelled it. All right. Where you at?
Arsinoe.
Let me see. Okay, let me go back. I lost my little page over here. Okay, I think I got it now. Say that again, Grand Secretary of the State. I think that is it. N-O-E.
Arsinoe.
Okay, S-I-N-O-E. Let's see. Okay. That's what it was. I had it backwards. Okay, here it is right here. And this look like a woman. Sound like a man, but look like a woman. There ain't no doubt about it. It's a woman. We ain't gonna say, I don't want to say it might be with the transgender thing going on back then. But here we go right here. There she go. And if you ain't know no better, you'd have thought that was one of your Egyptian goddess ancestors. But we already know that no. She is not related to you people. She is not in the line of your ancestors unless some crazy things went on. Let's see here. Oh, that's from the second to the third. They even got head busts to let you know they. So They done made bust of this woman a couple of times. Queen maker of Ptolemaic. Let's see. Queen maker of Ptolemaic Egypt. So what, she was making queens? Lord have mercy. This is really sad right here, family. To look into this and see exactly what they got going on here. They had their own coat right here, I see. Wow. Yeah, it's definitely alien to Egypt. Let's go. Let's move to the next individual here. Father of love. Hold up, let me scroll this here real quick. Priest. I don't know why. Oh, there you go. Get it out of the way. Okay, yeah. It says, okay, Ptolemy and Arson. Okay, the gods who love their father. Priests of Alexander. Y'all already know how Alexander the Greek looked. You know. But since we gonna do this anyway. We want to make sure, because if we don't show it, y'all might think Alexander one of us. Alexander the Greek. Y'all already know who he is. And some people have been lying. Want to put an end to this lie too, since we here. You got some Arabs that have been lying. Talking about that Alexander the Great is Dur Kornyain, the Lord of two horns in the Quran. You got Arabs been teaching this. Just recently, they've been trying to correct the narrative, but I've been found out that it was actually August Khan that was the Lord of two horns that the Quran was referring to, who descend from the Turks and the ancient Kemites. Big facts. Big facts, family. August Khan, not Alexander the Greek. Yeah, you got Arabs out here teaching that Alexander was some type of conqueror, you know, and hero. How did that make that into Islamic history? Well, didn't the chairman just tell you the history that the Arabs was pushing over there in the assuming of a nation? Go figure. Look, watch this. I'm going to show you. How did Alexander the Greek become Prophet Muhammad? Let's see. See? Look here. Dur Kornyain is Alexander the Great. When I seen that years ago, I said, I know this got to be a lie. You know, and look. So they done went and took a picture. This ain't nothing but, the Arabs trying to promote their little cousin. I see the little picture done disappeared when I clicked on it. But, this is Alexander the Greek with devil horns on now. With the horns of Satan on his head. And they want to say that this is the Dur Kornyain that's referred to in the Quran. Shame on them pale-skinned Arabs. And only because they ain't did their history. Look at this. Look at this. You think that Allah would send something up in the civilization looking like this? Y'all done seen them demonic movies. Look at them horns. That ain't nothing but the devil himself. I'm sorry. The prophet already told you in the 102s who the descendants of, were. They told you pale-skinned nations of Europe what they look like. Here it is again. Them little Luciferian horns he got on his head. Look at it. Terrible. He looked real familiar too, but I ain't gonna go there. I got a thought in my head right there. He looked just like an individual that has surfaced recently. But anyway, look at this. This is terrible. This is terrible. So this is who y'all talking about conquered Kemet and civilized Kemet. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's definitely, look at it. He even got the little pointed ears. If Alexander had horns like that right there, he had to be the devil. According to the way the European do it. I'm just saying. because that's how they always depict Satan. You know, but the Arabs had to be miseducated to be running around here talking about Alexander the Great built the iron wall to keep the Gog and the Magog out. Why? When that's his ancestors. You know the Gog and the Magog come from the Caucasus Mountains now. So what would he look like putting a fence up to protect civilization from his ancestors coming down to invade when they already went into Kemet and overthrow the history there? Make it make sense now. So no, Alexander the Greek is not dual codename. We're going to straighten that lie right now. You heard it for the first time maybe today, but a couple of times in the past I done already said this. This is the real dual codename. Since we there. And I didn't even intend to go here, but you know that's how that knowledge is. It's actually August Khan. And August Khan don't look like that. Like this old pale skinned look that they got going on now. Let me show you what the real August Khan looked like according to his statue. Because see, even in the Turkish history, they got a little bit of twisted stuff in them too. This is the real August Khan right here. You see? It's the real August Khan. You see, they got him with melanated. And you know, this is why he the Lord of two horns. See? Yes, sir. He look as Asiatic as ever, don't he? And you see that straight crown up out of Egypt, straight up out of Kemet. He even paying homage to the cow goddess, Het Heru. You know, representing it over there. See, but when they get the mixing and remixing this stuff, this is what it looked like. This is terrible, people. We got to stop this. We got to stop this madness now. You know, but anyway, yes, Zulkarnain, the real one is August Khan, not Alexander the Great. You heard it again. Like I say, some of you for your first time, you know, tell them Arabs to get their history straight. You got some of them that know it now. They trying to teach it. But some of them still talking about Alexander the Greek. You seen the video up there. He done went and built the gate to keep the Caucasians from coming out of the Caucasus Mountain. Come on, man. That's like saying Satan, you know, gonna open up the pits of hell and he gonna establish a gate way, you know, so that his minions can't get up out of there to come do what he opened the gate up to do in the first place. That don't make no sense. As oxymoron as it is, some people go for that madness. So let me get back over here. Because I want to hear from my scribes in a minute. This is terrible. So now that we have identified the culprits up in here, talking about they beautified Kemet by overthrowing, let's go to Atus. Let's see who Atus is. Let me see. Because some of them, they won't even have them up here. Some of them, they will. But we see Flavor's Atus. We're going to try it again. I think I remember this Atus being some type of eagle deity or something they was trying to bring up. And then and again, it can also be a different spelling too. Let's see. See this right here. Okay, Flavor's Atus. We got a couple of people up here. see they spelling it a little different than what it is. Now, them look like some indigenous Egyptians right there. But that ain't the name that they talking about. This Atus is the name that they using. Okay. Some of them you can't find, but some of them here. Let me do this here, because I want to make sure we pulling up. Can't find Atus up here right now. We see a lot of Ptolemies up here though, and they definitely ain't none of our people. So let me go over here real quick. That's one that they couldn't find. I think I seen that one a while back though. I'm gonna have to do some more deep dive on this right here. And they say the son of Atus. Let's see Pyra and see what comes up under that. Make sure I got that right there, right. P-Y-R-R-H. I mean P-Y-R-R-A. H-A. Let me see here. I see what might be going on. Let me do this here, because it's trying to search through the other area here. Let me go here. Let's see. It'll let me go in here. No. Yeah, they only thing they keep coming up with is this guy here. Let me see how far back this goes. This is under the Roman Empire. Flavius Atus. We definitely know there's some European connections off in here though, dealing with the Atus in general, because if Ptolemy is what he is, then you already know. I think they even, let me see. No, they ain't giving nothing up there. So let's see this other one then. Let's see. They got a lot of cartoonish individuals going on here that they done named after Pyra. Let's see. Okay, this just gives up the Ptolemaic kings. Okay, here it is right here. This is supposed to be a legendary Greek figure of Pyra. Hellenic race, Greek. So they done mixed the Greek gods, basically, flood mythology, with Egyptian deities. Ooh, this is a headache just looking at this madness they got going on here. This is terrible. It's overwhelming to see this nonsense they got going on up in here, and our people don't even know it's being done to them. Hold up. Let me present this back again, because I seen it fall off just then. I seen it then. There we go. Okay, let's go to the other one. We only got a few more to go through up here. Trying to close these other windows up here that I don't need. Get them out the way. Okay, let me go back to the Google Translate again. So we see that's dealing with definitely some mixing of some Greek stuff up here. We see the priestess of Arsenal. Who else they got up in here? Felinos. Let's see who this is. Felinos. Yeah, some of the stuff you can't even find. Let me see this here. I see the Greek restaurant named after. The Greek deity Pan. That look like Alexander the Greek again. Oh my goodness. Lordy, lordy, lordy. Yeah, buddy. Well, at least they claiming their lineage. Hood, feet, and carrying on. These people had pride in being the devil. Uh-oh. Give me a second more, Ken. I'm trying to get this thing so it don't shut down. It may shut down. Trying to get it because this charge is off.
Islam, give him a second. He'll be back on.
Okay, can you hear me, Morris Ken?
Islam.
Goodness gracious. All right. Well, yeah, so basically, Morris, I mean, I don't really even have to go too far into it. You know, I see my apparatus acting crazy. So you get the point. What I'm trying to show our people is that the Rosetta Stone wasn't created by the ancient Egyptians. You know, have to use the hammer of repetition. I hate to sound like a broken record, but we actually really going into the true record. So, you know, the record was already broken when we let the European get up there demonstrating that. No, you know, we have to get this out of the way before we can move further into, you know, this information. You know, because once we understand this and we say, okay, well, the true language came from hieratic, you know, and through, you know, the Phoenician, and, you know, we understand how this is connected to those letters as opposed to what Rome created. So what I'm going to do, you know, I'm going to open up the floor a bit, you know, in our next measure, we're going to actually go into some of the drawings dealing with the Rosetta Stone a little deeper. I think I'm going to have to get another cord for this apparatus too, because it's faulty in the charging. So it's long. That's how it is though when you're using your tools. They wear out sometime. So let me call forth my Grand National Secretary of State, Dr. Hatshepsut Rakat Ma'at and Putut the Coming Bay. Islam. You there, goddess and queen?
Close as a thought.
Islamism.
Gratitude. Having already resident, given praise and honor where due. And also, again, welcome to our family online. Much gratitude to Act One and to our Scribes online. Also to you, Dr. Shahid, for hosting a Grand Ears class today. Always gratitude and for our National Grand Chairman and bringing forth the Book of Fire, very powerful. Gratitude to you for going over the sound shifting, you know, as opposed to, you know, in addition to the face chart, you know, and also what you created, the master key, you know, to enhance and ease of making it applicable to the self. And when we look at, I tell you, dealing with this Rosetta Stone and going through the remix, and being able to use that Demotic database tool. When you listen at some of these words that you use Google Translate out of German into English, and we're talking about paying homage, you know, using the benevolent, you know, or using how one loved the gods and trying to input like Ra and Ptah Ra and things, Amun, and in essence demonstrating the remix. When you actually see it, it's just, like you said, ludicrous. Because as you stated, you're talking about being beat down, you know, to a level of physical slavery, and then you better like it, or this is how you learn to trade. And you hear these things in 2025. You know, the same MO when it comes down to those that's trying to insert themselves into our history, and we supposed to like it and accept it. And I knew prior to dealing with or coming into the ears class, I knew in my heart that when they had our artifacts going into the British Museum or German Museum, et cetera, that if we got that a special language to find out what was really going on, I hadn't even thought about transliteration of the papyri itself, but I knew that we would get the truth and that this was dealing with a remix in my heart. And now that we are actually peeling back these layers and showing what is actually brought by our ancestors and forefathers, as opposed to what was inserted in and then fed down our throat, and not having access to do the research yourself at the time that I was coming up. You know, it's just gagging, seriously. So I give so much praises to Allah and honor to our prophet for, as it states, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And so now we've got tools coming out of Japan and things that make the transliteration a lot easier. And I had a question for the South, but I answered it in reference to when it goes from the actual demotic and then it goes into the transliteration, that in order to make sure that what they have in the German language is actually coming out of Kemet, it cannot hurt to also do the transliteration on our own. Not saying the entire thing, but do the transliteration on our own so that we are certain that this is actual truth. So much gratitude to you, more, for all the research you've demonstrated and bringing it forth to those that have ears to hear, because it's indeed powerful. And this is another paradigm shift, because again, we are exhuming not just the nation, but exhuming the language, the history, and everything else that goes along with our people from the very mouth of our forefathers. So gratitude, more, for calling me forth. Much peace and love to all of my Moorish kin. Islam.
In Islamism, we give honors to you, Grand National Chairman of the Grand National Secretary of the State. You know, that's a grand drawing, because you know, especially when we talk about translating on our own, which is what we've been doing, but it's a grand drawing because a lot of time when they put things in there, it's just like when you go in the Grand Quran and you'll see brackets, right? And they insert the name Muhammad in certain areas where the Quran didn't say, you know, Prophet Muhammad. You feel me? And so it's the same thing with them. A lot of them places in some of the demotic stuff they come up with, a lot of it don't have them European names in it, them Greek gods they be mentioning. They the ones that put it in there, talking about told me this and told me that and all this other stuff. And we find out that, you know, they even corrupted, you know, the term Ta and tried to make Ta be Ptolemy. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of deception going on. But if you don't know the language, they feel like you would never know it. Hundreds of years ago, they didn't foresee the age of information unfolding like this. So they thought that they can get over on our people and they'll never find out. You know, and well, the Most High didn't make my mind that way. So, you know, when I get to digging, I'm gonna uncover it. You know, and we got Rome working against us. We already know on these apparatuses, but they can't win. You know, soon we're going to have our own apparatuses when it comes to dealing with a lot of this stuff. You know, because it ain't strange, a lot of this stuff doing what it's doing. And even I noticed that this class wasn't even up there where it can really be seen. You know, and it ain't really it ain't reaching the audience that it should be reaching. I got like over 1,400 something subscribers, you know, so we know what's going on. But it's all good and well because we got the archives here. A lot of this stuff we got to download and start putting it out there in other ways. You know, I think that it's time to do that, you know. So Islam. All right. Let's call on our National Grand Sheik if he's still present. Dr. Serapis Ahmed, our National Grand National Chairman, first and foremost, Dr. Acting Pert M. Heru to the Coming Bay, if he ain't on a mission. Islam, you there, Chairman?
He's not available right now, more. Gratitude.
Okay, gratitude, Islam. Just making sure. Well, all right, let us call forth our National Grand Sheik, Dr. Serapis Ahmed Rael. Islam, you there, Sheik? Islam, Sheik. I know you got something. Yes, sir. I know you finna wear that scimitar.
Yes. Can you hear me, Mo?
Oh yeah, I hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me, Sheik?
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's a grand demonstration because we heard the Sheik this afternoon and those who assisted. This has been a very, very refamiliarized program because we had studied it some time ago, and it goes to show you miss your water, your well runs dry. and we see the sheep is going through it, or should I say back through it, and bringing certain important facts back to light that had went into the night and hid themselves from us. And you went back in there and pulled it out and showed the ugliness of that one to the city, or the citizens, or the ones who come to pay attention to what is being revealed, because this has been ever discussed that these ones put us under sort of like a microscope and held us against our will. And some of our brothers that we was rotating with found out these ones aid and assisted them. And this is what is going on today, because we have forgot our certain way, the way that we were supposed to carry ourselves along the realm of righteousness and truth. It bring forth the hammer of remembrance to give us that flat edge of being able to call these facts in history back to life. And you do honor for the repercussion, or the resurrection, should I say, of these very important pages from Allah's remembrance book, and to give us that supreme understanding as to what we have lost and what we stand to lose. And the fact that we have lost these things, it becomes our duty, our stolen duty, to retrieve them. And so we definitely appreciate you bringing it back to the remembrance factor. We pray that we will be able to, in very short fashion, grasp the significance and our importance of what is being revealed to us, and that it will be on our mind from here on out. Islam Mo?
Islam, Chief. Yes, sir, grand man. Yes, sir. That's exactly what we headed to. You know, that Rosetta Stone has been a stumbling block for a lot of our people, because they believe that this stone is the tool of decipherment. And the problem is, like I said earlier, how you gonna champion a decree that was used to create decrees of segregation, not segregation, but separation, so to speak, of our people from their own state by conquerors? How you gonna use that, you know, and give praises to that, and then still claim that you honor our ancestors? And that's what's been going on. And so they don't even know, half of them ones don't even know that this is what's being said in the Rosetta Stone. They done took somebody else's demonstration and ran with it. And it's been problems ever since. Islam. Goodness gracious. Well, I want to give honors to our National Grand Sheik for that drawing. Dr. Serapis, Amin Rael, honors to all the Act One. At this time, we're going to open up the floor for our scribes, our remaining scribes, you know, and brothers. and see what they have to say. I know they got a lot to say too. Islam, you there, brothers? Brother
Islam?
Islam, Brother Marvin Everbay.
Yes, sir. Gratitude for calling me. Let's start out Marvin Elvis Bay. Praise and honors have been given. Yeah, this was a powerful class. I mean, it just goes to show that the Europeans didn't waste any efforts, you know what I mean, in hiding and burying our true history. And like we were reading in the Exhuming of a Nation, and while I'm speaking on that, a brother was asking for the PDF for the Exhuming of a Nation, and I attempted to let him know to call headquarters and get a copy, an autographed copy, you know, of the Exhuming of a Nation. But I couldn't. But my comment wouldn't go through for whatever reason. Maybe you're in control of that. But yeah, the truth is being revealed. You know, the truth, you can only hide it for so long. It's going to come up. And this is what we're about here in this here's class, in the Morse American government, period. Because this is the exhuming of a nation, you know, and it's just sad state of affairs when we look when our people just don't want to accept the truth and want to just stay buried in that European mindset. Not to dwell on that too much, but yeah, time for us to wake up now. You know, it's been time, but you know, just got to give you honors for all your efforts in doing that. Yeah, you know, even when you look at some of the, yeah, like you were saying, you're showing the pictures, you know, things that we accepted as Egyptian for so long weren't, you know, but that's where we at. And so we just have to continue to study, continue to research, you know, and like you're saying, like now people got to do the research too. We can't just hand it to them on a silver platter, you know. But if one is truly sincere, then they will be directed because the great God is in all of us. You know what I mean? As we come to that realization and turn to the great God is up, not outside, but within. You know, it will direct. It directed me here to the Morse American government, you know. So yeah, I'm just as grateful for being here in this new era of time now. And just striving to continue to unfold. Now, gratitude, God, man, for all you do. Islam and peace and love.
And gratitude for the measure, brother. And to the brother that was asking for the PDF, we don't give PDFs of the Exhuming of a Nation out. You know, we have a PDF that we put on the screen, but that's only so that the audience can see. Because people that have had PDFs wherever they got them from in the past was trying to sell the Exhuming of a Nation and make their own copy. You know, so yeah, we don't give that out. You got to buy the book, family, with all due respects. So and you can buy that by calling headquarters, like the brother said, 434-676-1555, and you can get an autographed copy from the chairman. So Islam. All right. Well, let us call forth our other brother, our other scribe, Dr. Bati Bey. Islam.
Islam. You know, the I'm trying to see how to word this, but being that I don't, you know, I've always had a knack for is you know searching for some type of identity, and even then when I remember when that movie by Martin Lawrence came out, Black Knight, and the dude in there called him a Moor. As before, way before I knew anything about more science or anything like that, I was, you know, there was something that told me that that's what we were, and that and even at that age, I understood that they'll put information about us in entertainment or places where we're not too, saying keen to look, and so to speak. And so even with when I understood and I was researching languages, way back, and I was looking at the cuneiforms and the Sanskrit and stuff like that, and I had came along the understanding that the Greek language was really Coptic. That that kind of let me know that there was there was something going on that I really didn't know, and I didn't know where I was going to look. I didn't know where I was going to get any information, but life propelled me into the direction I am now. And I'm, realizing that when it comes down to stuff about our people, it's going to be hidden. And what they're going to do is they're going to take the stuff that we have, demonize it to us, but yet use it behind closed doors and in secret, in cult-like fashions. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we have with this language. And yet they still don't understand the full concept of what the hieroglyphs, you know what I'm saying? They still don't understand that. So when you talk about the Rosetta Stone and they say, oh, that he deciphered it, it's like it's really like who you think you fooling? What do you think you getting over? You can't sit up there and say that that's a language. I mean, it's a language, but the same language that you're saying you deciphered is the same entity that created everything, and the same entity which we gave worship to, that you told us that we shouldn't be worshiping. So you give us this like you be saying, buttermilk complected individual to worship. So if nature has its own language, and that was what was put up on the hieroglyphs, or we could say, and I say in link to the Rosetta Stone, so to speak, as being a language, and you couldn't understand that, yet you couldn't understand our understanding of God being within, being this all-powerful, entity, then how can you sit up there and say that you know something about a language that you still haven't deciphered to this day, that's only being deciphered right before your face, and at the behest of the Moorish nation? The prophet said that, it's all going to go, everything is going to come back into our hands, and this is the true yielding of that power, of that intellect, of that consciousness being showed and displayed before your face. So when we're looking at what anything that comes from Europe, I can't take any I can't give it any credence. I can't even give it, because any power or energy, because there is none that apple, that apple full of bitterness and gall, because that's what it was created out of. The Rosetta Stone was created out of bitterness and gall. It wasn't created from a divine point to where I can link myself to, I can see life in it. So anything that gives life, that gives you feel this energy expanding within yourself, that when you hear it, that's what gives you life. That's what expands your divine nature. When it takes away from it and you like, oh, that's kind of, and you start having doubt, that's where you stay away from. And so and that's how I feel about the whole apparatus on them, the hieroglyphics, the Rosetta Stone, and things of that nature. There was ones way older than Rosetta Stone, but that they still haven't deciphered to this day. But with that, I'll leave as I come in peace and Islam and gratitude for this class, until Scribes. Islam.
In Islam and peace, brother, we give honors to you for that drawing, and praise be to Allah for everything you do, that you've done and will continue to do. And we just want to say gratitude to our family for all that you brought forth. The best is yet to come, but we have to really crack the surface, man, when it comes to dealing with what our people been taught, because that's what's been hindering them. So if we will, Brother Bati Bey, you can close us out, grand man. Islam.
Islam. Islam, one moment. Islam, gratitude for your patience. January 15th, 1929. A warning from the Prophet to be read at every meeting. I hereby inform all citizens that they must end all radical, agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequences. We are for love, truth, peace, and freedom. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice then must take its course. Any citizen or group of citizens who hold malicious feelings towards the government or the Prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive the reward from Allah from their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their Prophet. If they lose confidence in their Prophet, they should turn in a card, button, cease, wearing a turban, affairs, and return to the state where I, the Prophet, found you. This holy covenant, this is a holy and divine movement founded by the Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, and if the Prophet is not right, the government is not right. The Prophet, therefore, is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their Prophet and the government. This is an everlasting movement founded by the Prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways by order of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. With the recitation of our warning. Holy Covenant of Asiatic Nation. You are the children of one Father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother hath given you suck. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in our Father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. Peace, peace, and peace. Islam.
Great class. Gratitude, family.
Great class.
Islam.
Gratitude.
Great class.
Islamism.
Moors.
Islam.
Love y'all too.
See you on the call.
Islamism. See you, Morris Ken. Indeed, Sunday school from us, the guys and the guiders of the nation and bride. That's where you get the history outside of that mystery. Islam.
Islam. Peace and love.
We love you, Moors. Want to give honors to the Moors that did check in as well. Tyrese Bay, Sister Cena Renee, as well. Hola City Young, honors to you, Tyrese Bay, Barn Dog. We love you, family. Keep checking in. The best is yet to come. Peace and love.